Welcome to another video. I'm Dr. Venus, and today we're going to be reviewing a certain personality here on social media called the Liver King. He does recommend quite a few things that I do as a medical doctor agree with and do support, such as fasting, such as spending time outdoors, working out, all that kind of good stuff. But the reason I do think that this video is important though is because he exemplifies certain behaviors and he does give certain recommendations that are sure to lead to a negative health impact on the unfortunate people who choose to follow them.
Like my profile says, I'm the CEO of the ancestral lifestyle. What I'm championing is the ancient path to a better, stronger, leaner, healthier, disease-free life, and there's no amount of money or anything that can pull me in another direction. Are you even eating liver and bone marrow yet? If not, start immediately and dominate. Do you eat liver daily? And if so, how much? I eat liver for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I have 3 to 4 ounces of raw liver with every meal.
There are 3 things that straight away from seeing the lifestyle that he is promoting on some of his videos and the stuff that he is recommending for people, there are 3 ways which I already can see very obviously that where he is failing to live up to his promise, his message, his reputation of promoting healthy lifestyle. Number 1, he is recommending a lot of raw meats, which do increase the risk for certain infections. There are a lot of pathogens that are found in raw meat. This is actually why it's always recommended that we cook them. This is also why it's recommended that we don't use the same kitchen equipment for vegetables as for animal products. E. coli, you have Shigella, you have Campylobacter is actually the most common source of gastroenteritis in the world, especially in the summer season when people are barbecuing a lot. There's Yersinia, there's Salmonella, just to name a few. And again, if you're eating a lot of raw meat, you're increasing your risk of these infections. Number 2, relating to his name, the Liver King, there are a few worries that I would have around this because the liver is a filtrating organ. There are a lot of nutrients and metals and things that are very highly concentrated in this organ that if eaten frequently enough can lead to toxicity and overload in many cases. Now number 3 is obviously that he exemplifies the use of anabolic steroids. So how is his use of anabolic steroids in conflict with his message of promoting healthy lifestyle? Well, the use of anabolic steroids is related to and can cause things such as short stature, tendon injury, aggression, mania, delusions, high blood pressure, blood clots, heart attacks, stroke, testicular cancer, male pattern baldness, decreased sperm production, and larger breasts, shrinking of the testicles. And this shrinkage of the testicles, by the way, will happen regardless of whether or not you decide to eat the testicles of lots of other animals.
I'm gonna take a huge bite out of these testicles. All I did was remove the membrane here. You can see the other membrane's fully intact. Here we go.
Okay, so raw liver, let's go back to that point that I made. How much are we talking about when we are saying 3 to 4 ounces of raw liver with every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner? I'm assuming this is at least 3 times a day. Then let's take a look at what is the content of raw liver for these things and how much is he actually consuming. So first of all, when it comes to cholesterol, 1 serving such as the one he is talking about is actually already going to be giving you over 350 milligrams of cholesterol, and the daily allowance is actually only 300 milligrams. So if this is just in 1 portion, you can imagine if you're having multiple portions like this, then you're really overdoing your cholesterol intake. Heart disease is one of the main killers in the world today, killing an average of 18 million people every single year. Next up is iron. So a 3-ounce portion of raw beef liver is going to be giving you 15.2 milligrams of iron, which is already above the recommended intake for men and around the recommended intake for women who are menstruating. Because they have a slight amount of blood loss every month, they are recommended to take a little bit more iron than men. And again, remember, this is just the 1 portion of iron. If you're having this multiple times a day, then you are really exaggerating your iron intake. And remember, this is heme iron. This is the iron found in animals, which is absorbed excessively to the human body. In other words, we do not have a control mechanism to stop absorbing iron when we've had enough. Iron overload is related to an increased risk of liver disease. This is both in the form of cirrhosis and liver cancer. Increases the risk for heart failure, diabetes, osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, metabolic syndrome, hypothyroidism, hypogonadism, and can even accelerate neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's, early onset Parkinson's, Huntington's disease, epilepsy, and multiple sclerosis. Now for the third thing we mentioned, copper. So a 4-ounce serving of liver is actually going to give you over 16,000 micrograms of copper, which is over 18 times your recommended intake of copper. And remember, this is 1 4-ounce portion. Imagine doing this 3 times a day. We're talking drastically overdoing your copper intake here. As for the consequences of having too much copper, it can lead to depression, irritability, fatigue, general mood swings, difficulty focusing, as well as, once again, damage to the liver as well as kidneys. Lastly then, vitamin A. So a 3-ounce serving of beef liver is going to give you about 18,000 international units of vitamin A, and this is preformed vitamin A. The upper tolerable limit of vitamin A is 10,000 international units, or 3,000 micrograms. So again, we are drastically overdoing the intake of vitamin A, and this is again only one of the servings that he supposedly has every single day. So this situation only becomes drastically worse if you're then talking about 3 times as much liver as this. Signs and symptoms of hypervitaminosis, or having too much vitamin A, include changes in consciousness, decreased appetite, dizziness, vision changes, drowsiness, headache, irritability, nausea, poor weight gain, skin and hair changes, cracking at corners of the mouth, hair loss, higher sensitivity to sunlight, oily skin and hair, skin peeling, itching, vomiting, yellow discoloration of the skin, abnormal softening of the skull bone, especially in children, bone pain and swelling, gastric mucosal calcinosis, heart valve calcification, increased intracranial pressure, spontaneous fracture, uremic pruritus, and once again liver damage. So much for the liver king. Basically all the stuff that he's talking about actually seems to damage the liver. Now the thing about his recommendations, or the lifestyle that he exemplifies, is not only that he's doing it for himself, but it seems that he's even talking about feeding this to children, and even in his vlogs you see him actually giving this raw liver to his children.
We have shots of liver and eggs.
Thank you.
Because what else would we have? Let's start with liver, guys. Here you go, Rad. Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's do it.
Now, as a medical doctor, if somebody like that came into my clinic touting about this lifestyle of eating raw liver and mentions that he is feeding raw liver to his children, that would immediately raise the question of potential child abuse in my mind. Given the fact that a lot of child abuse is not necessarily malicious, it is not necessarily intentional, a lot of child abuse is actually negligence, is actually something that people do unconsciously. And when it comes to malnutrition or giving people raw liver, there are definitely a lot of negative health impacts that can happen to children who are unwittingly consuming too much of this toxic food. Another thing the Liver King is a very big fan of is hunting.
Here we are again. So I heard yesterday you guys had an experience with a cow. Let's just take a moment to connect with that animal's life before we move into the next animal today. If you guys want to close your eyes.
I had a friend once who told me something along the lines of, you know what, if you're lying there or standing there or sitting there and you're pressing a button to kill an animal, that is not impressive at all. Actually, that is pretty cowardly. If you ran after that deer, if you with your bare hands were able to catch it and bring it down to the ground and kill it, I said, you know what, that was actually pretty impressive.
Thank you for allowing us to be successful and safe. Oh.
So now we're gonna carry Buck back and we're gonna process him, we're gonna butcher him. We're gonna use every piece of him so that we can honor him the proper way, and so that we can be nourished, and so that we can go off and do all the things that he would want us to do, and he can live on through that legacy.
It's always funny to me how this hunting exemplifies this kind of supernatural, magical thinking, right? The smoke thing that you saw in his clip, the shaman traditional kind of thing that a lot of people are into and have always been into, really exemplifies nicely this magical thinking. Unfortunately, I think as a man of science, I think it's still unfortunate that so many people still believe in this kind of stuff. But anyways, again, don't want to spend too much time on this. Let's go on and watch some more clips.
What do you recommend as a first-time meal for liver? Stop being a man boy. Procure it, tear off the package like a real man, and eat it raw already. Pork rinds. This is what Liver King is having for his second post-workout meal of the day. Let's see. Release stacked. Let me see if it's sharp. Turn all the way around. Let me hear, yeah, boy?
Yeah, boy.
Say it more manly?
Yeah, boy.
That's right. All right.
Okay, so I think I already mentioned it a little bit earlier in this video, but again, this is just this overly enthusiastic attention to being as masculine as possible. It seems very over the top. I don't think it's the healthiest psychological thing to be promoting, especially young kids when he's talking to his young son. Yeah, it's not my job to tell people how to parent, how to bring up their kids, but it's definitely, you know, I don't even like the term toxic masculinity. I think there's nothing wrong with being just naturally masculine, but this over-exaggerated focus on being as masculine as possible leads to a lot of this, I think, you know, what is referred to as toxic masculinity. Perhaps he's had issues or insecurities around this before. Perhaps this is actually even why he went into steroid use, anabolic steroids, to be more manly, who knows. But again, it doesn't really accrue to you any value in today's world of just being masculine. There's no inherent good in being masculine over being feminine.
Do you ever drink alcohol? Are you kidding me? I'm Liver King. Of course I do. Go to liverking.com to find out more about my barbaric cocktail.
Okay, so I guess he also fails on his message, on his mission of promoting health here. I guess as a medical doctor, you can only say that the only optimal amount of alcohol is 0. There is no way to promote alcohol and say that you're promoting health. So this is just a big no, red flag. This not only is it extremely toxic to the liver, again, paradoxically, the Liver King telling you to do stuff that damages your liver, it is also a carcinogen. It's not something that you want to be promoting if your mission is truly health. So strike 4, 5, 6, I can't remember at this point.
How does Liver King clean his beard and his mustache? I don't. Liver King doesn't waste time on such matters. I also don't use deodorant, I don't brush my teeth, and I don't wash my hair. Our species has an elegant, brilliant design by default. I don't believe it's ancestral.
Okay, so you're not brushing your teeth because that's not ancestral, but you're using a rifle. Is that ancestral, using a rifle? Oh, actually, you did the smoking thing around it, so you're good. It became ancestral. No worries about it. Ancestors approve.
May use thymus or spleen for allergies or to boost immune system. I might take brain if the brain needs a boost. Bovine tracheal cartilage to recover from an injury. Thyroid in the wintertime when little to no carbs are available. Adrenal if adrenal support is required. You get the picture.
Okay, so this is actually kind of going back to that supernatural, magical thinking. This is a big misunderstanding of how nutrition works, how the digestive system works, how the assimilation and incorporation of different nutrients into the tissues of the human body actually works. This idea that eating brain is going to grow your brain, eating a joint is going to give you healthier joints. This is from a biochemical perspective, completely scientifically and factually incorrect. It's just wrong. You know, the way it works is that when you're eating a polymer, as it's called, right, the long chains of the different building blocks. So in proteins, that would be amino acids, and fats, that would be glycerol and fatty acids. When it comes to carbohydrates, you're talking about simple sugars becoming longer sugars, right? Monosaccharides, oligosaccharides, polysaccharides. So when these are broken down to be absorbed, they are no longer representing the source, right? The complete structure that they were before we digested them. So when we actually use them, they're going just to be the building blocks that are being used rather than the full tissue that is magically going to go to the tissue that it started as. So again, it's a lack of understanding of how things actually work in the human body. Luckily, for us, because you know, if I were eating the way I'm eating, what would I be now? I guess I would be a vegetable.
I'm Dr. Venus.
Wow.
Wait, I'm gonna give you this.
There's some really good pieces in there.
How was that blood?
The blood?
Yeah.
The blood tastes like strength, power, virility. It tastes like all the things that blood should taste like. Did you have some?
No, I didn't have any.
I knew that. That's what I'm saying. It tastes like strength, power. It tastes like
Punk.
alpha organism virility. Hey, did you have any?
More of that toxic masculinity stuff, dominate, be mighty, strong, blah, blah, blah. I have to say though, I love the way his partner, by the way, when I'm looking through the vlog footage, the way she reacts when she's eating some of this raw meat stuff that, you know, he's always talking about as if it's so delicious, so good. But you gotta love it. It seems like she has the most honest facial expressions when she's actually eating the stuff.
Nice piece of heart. And it's tender. You don't even have to tear into it too bad.
She also doesn't seem to be overly excited when they are killing this little goat in front of them.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on that, Brian?
My thoughts are it's an incredible thing to be a part of. You know, to have a beautiful beast to be sacrificed so that we can be nourished.
Perhaps this is another sign that feminine values should be represented more in today's society, right? This whole thing of dominate and might is right and all this kind of stuff. I think women in general are a little bit more empathetic. They do have a larger tendency to take care of everyone around them rather than having this forceful, penetrating,
Dominating, win and compete and beat everyone else.
mindset that unfortunately I think is overly represented in today's society.
Right? Everyone has their own definition of better. You know, it just happens to be that ours is correct. And that's, when I say ours, I mean our ancestors. Right? This isn't about your philosophy or my philosophy. This is the way that we've lived for millions of years. And I don't think there's a whole lot of debate about which way is better. But even though I don't agree with vegans are on a path to live a better life. You have to respect that.
So this is another misunderstanding. I don't know how many vegans you've been talking to there, Mr. Liver King. Veganism is to do with respecting animals. So there is, in contrast to what you said, there is no necessity to kill animals in order to nourish the human body. We can get all the nutrients we need without harming animals, and that is the whole point of veganism. This is why we don't only avoid eating animal products, but we also avoid wearing them, we avoid consuming them through entertainment and other forms as much as practically possible. And again, this is not me trying to put the Liver King down. This is not me trying to be a moral superior, getting on my vegan high horse, nothing like that. There are a lot of good things that this guy is putting out. He's talking about being outside, getting vitamin D, working out, as you know, living more naturally in general. Fasting, these are things that have been medically proven through scientific research to prolong life. And not only prolong life, but also improve the quality of the life that you live as long as you live. However, like I said, there are certain things that this guy is promoting, whether it be unknowingly or knowingly, some of the messaging, some of the things he exemplifies, as well as some of the things that he directly recommends people who follow him do, that will certainly lead to negative health impacts in the long run if people follow him. If you watching this video know anybody who follows the Liver King or who actually takes his advice seriously, please send this video to him or her, you know, whoever it is that is watching this video. Hopefully this can help prevent or keep you from falling into the pitfalls of damaging your own health long term. If you do enjoy this video, be sure to like and be sure to subscribe. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see going forward as well. Obviously, I'm always asking my patrons over at Patreon, but I'm always trying to read all the comments. So whether you're on Patreon or not, I'm going to read your comments. We can start a conversation down below. I want to know what you think about the Liver King, what you think about this diet, what do you think about where we're going with this channel. Let me know. Let's start a conversation. Thank you so much for all the support throughout the years, and I'll see you in the next video.